Police disperse Frontline Socialist Party protests in Colombo. 42 people, including the leader of the Frontline Socialist Party, Kumar Gunaratnam, arrested. The US Embassy in Sri Lanka says that they did not request the demonstration to be blocked. Advanced level examination postponed till the 7th of September. Grade 5 scholarship exam to be held on the 13th of September. Schools to be reopened in 4 phases. When will the elections be held?
අමන්ට එක එක දින හිතලා ප්‍රචාරය කරන්න එපා කියලා. අගෝස්තු මාසේ 4 වෙනිදා ඉඳලා අගෝස්තු 19 විතර යනකන් සියලුම දින ප්‍රසිද්ධ කරනවා. මේ දින වකවානුව ඇතුලේ අපි තියන්නම වෙනවා.
ජූනි 20 වෙනිදා මධ්‍යම රාත්‍රී 12 වෙනකට මැතිවරණ දිනයක් නියම වෙලා නැත්නම් ජනාධිපතිතුමාට ව්‍යවස්ථාපිත බලයක් ඒවි මැතිවරණ දිනය සහ අභිනවයෙන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස් වෙන දිනය පිළිබඳව නිවේදනයක් කරන්න.
Supreme Court dismisses the petition challenging Samagi Janabalawegaya nominations. Doctor arrested for robbing 7.9 million rupees from the National Hospital in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. On to our lead story now. Police intervened in a protest which was organized by the Frontline Socialist Party opposing Sri America's arbitrary, aggressive and repressive policies. According to the police, steps were taken to stop the protest since it was staged in violation of a court order and quarantine laws. 42 activists, including the General Secretary of the FSP, Kumar Gunaratnam, were arrested by the police.
The police commenced the operation while representatives of the Frontline Socialist Party were converging at the Kolpati junction around 1 p.m. this afternoon. The police took steps to arrest and disperse the protesters, informing that a court order has been issued preventing protests from taking place opposite the US Embassy in Colombo.
ඇමරිකාවට මෙහෙන් කැස්ටක් ඇරියත් මුන්ට රීදෙනවා. දැන් කොහෙද මේ ආයෙන්නේ මේ ෂෝනානේ මෙතන නවත්තන්න. ඉතින් කොහෙවත් ඡන්ද දැන් තමුසලා යන්න දෙන්නේ නෑ. මම උලත් මේ දැන් මේක දැන් යන්න ඕනේ යන්න දෙන්නේ නෑ. මෙන්න පාර කියන කතාව. ඔය කියනවා නම් හාමුදුරුවෝ දැන් කොහොමද එක එක දාන්නේ.
Security around the premises of the US Embassy in Kolpiti was also beefed up during the time.
The Colombo Fort Magistrate Court had issued an order banning any sort of protest from taking place in the area surrounding the Gaul Road. Copies of the court order have been handed over to the representatives of these organizations, knowing that they have converged here and therefore they were arrested. We intend to produce them in court for violating the court order and for breaching quarantine laws and behaving in a manner conducive for the virus to spread.
After their attempt to stage a protest at the Kolpiti junction was thwarted by the police, activists of the Frontline Socialist Party moved towards the Lipton Circus and staged a peaceful protest. The protesters adhered to social distancing norms. The protesters also demanded for the activists who were arrested in Kolpiti be released. The police then arrived at the location and arrested several other protesters.
ඇමරිකානු ආණ්ඩුවේ අධිරාජ්‍යවාදී ආණ්ඩුවේ රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තියේ රාජ්‍ය ත්‍රස්තවාදී ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ගැන අපිට අවබෝධයක් තියෙනවා. ඒතකොට අපි ඊට එරෙහිව තමයි අපි අද වෙනකොට ලෝකවාසී ජනතාවත් එක්ක ඒකරාශි වෙලා ලෝකයේම ප්‍රගතිශීලී ජනතාවත් එක්ක ඒකරාශි වෙලා
The arrested group were taken to the harbour police. Attorneys representing the arrested individuals arrived at the harbour police this evening.
The court order has been issued banning protests opposite the US Embassy, but most arrests were made in town hall. We were informed that they would be produced before the magistrates court today itself.
42 people, including 3 women and 2 monks, have been arrested from 2 separate locations. They have clearly breached quarantine laws. Therefore, legal action will be taken against them based on the provisions of the Quarantine and Prevention of Diseases Ordinance and also for contempt of court.
නිරෝධායන රීති හදලා දෙන්නේ මුළු ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ඉන්න හැමෝටම වළංගු වෙන විදිහට විශේෂත්වයක් නැහැ. ඒකට මේ ප්‍රභූවරුන්ගේ අවමංගල්‍ය වලට එක ඉන්දියක් වෙයි මේ මම හිතන්නේ ඔබ
You must be referring to Minister Thondaman's funeral. The Sri Lanka police facilitated the necessary requirements to carry out the funeral. A gathering of people was reported and the police took steps to impose curfew on the entire Nuwara district the following day. We did observe a certain negligence when following quarantine laws. However, a similar scenario was observed from bus halts once the country was reopened. Breaching quarantine rules deliberately is considered a more serious offence by the Sri Lanka police.
A diplomat attached to the US Embassy arrived in the country and refused to undergo a PCR test. He is still inside the embassy premises in Kolpiti to this day. Which laws have been enacted regarding this matter? The government that adopted a docile strategy in front of America back then is now flexing their muscles to us. At a time where they claim an election can be held adhering to quarantine guidelines, we are deprived of the opportunity to stage a protest. What is the reasoning behind it? The police arrested 22 people in Kolpiti, not while they were staging a protest, but while they were at the bus halt. Under which law were they arrested? Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage, who went to speak with the police, was also arrested. Thereafter, Attorney at Law Swastika Arullingam attempted to speak to the police. She too was arrested. Dan Prasad and his group staged a protest opposite the NEC. None of the laws applied. A tamasha occurred within Sirikota and it aggravated into a protest. Still, there was no police intervention of any kind. A massive protest was staged urging Rajat Senaratne be released. A funeral of a high-profile character was held. None of these laws applied or mattered then. Political aides can do anything, but others cannot. This reeks of injustice.
The US Embassy, in a statement we just received, noted that it did not request that the demonstration in Colombo be blocked. The statement said that the US Embassy appreciates the efforts taken by the government of Sri Lanka and local law enforcement to keep diplomatic personnel and facilities in the country safe. It adds that the United States supports the right of Sri Lankans and all people to peaceful protest, which is consistent with a shared democratic tradition.
Many views were expressed about the US diplomat who refused to undergo a PCR test at the Bandaranaike International Airport today as well.
We have given our stance as a government, and personally I am sad about what happened. We are sad that a diplomat of a country hiding behind the Vienna Convention and not respecting the health regulations of a country. We are of the stance that the authorities are to be held responsible to ensure that this does not take place again. We request the leaders and state mechanisms of respectable countries to abide by the health regulations put in place by all countries to overcome this global disaster. Please don't hide behind your diplomatic immunity and try to show your powers to the world, because through that the people in the world as well as governments of those respective countries will be put in a difficult position. There is a question as to where the coronavirus originated. Countries are pointing their fingers at each other. When these things happen, we are all so suspicious whether those countries are trying to send this virus to our country deliberately.
Even though this person was considered a diplomat, he is not a diplomat. He is a member of the Indo-Pacific Command Regiment. That is why he refused to undergo a PCR test. At a time where the entire country is at risk due to this pandemic, it is the responsibility of our country to check whether anyone who enters this country has been contracted with this virus. Be it from the US Embassy or from any other embassy, it does not matter. Therefore, we are utterly disgusted by this negligent behavior. And also, we challenge the US Embassy to reveal who this person is and whether he is a member of the Indo-Pacific Command Regiment or not. If you can present these facts, if you do, we will reveal the rest of the story to the people.
A US Embassy official entering our country by force without adhering to the health regulations imposed by our country is unacceptable. We have to be in a correct diplomatic stance and correct steps should be taken regarding this situation. We represent the Viet Maga movement as well as the SLPP. Also, the chairman of the Viet Maga movement is the president of this country. He is a person who takes direct and courageous decisions. As we speak, steps are being taken to initiate diplomatic action against the relevant US diplomat.
The government should be able to take action in this regard. They should be able to inquire into this from the US Embassy in Colombo. If they can't act according to the laws in the country, they should be sent back. What we ask is, if the government does not have the strength to act against this, it is the US Ambassador who represents our country. The government has the responsibility to speak to the US Ambassador in this regard. If our country is not a colony of the United States, the government has the responsibility to work according to laws recognized by the entire world.
වලට අනුව කටයුතු කරන්න. මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ විදිය තමයි උස්තැන් දැක හැකිලෙනවා මිටිතැන් දැන පුප්පනවා.
The occupants of 3 houses in Jaffna have been subjected to self-quarantine. The order to self-quarantine came after an Indian national in Jaffna had tested positive for COVID-19.
The Northern Provincial Health Director A.K. Dishwaran said that an Indian national who had engaged in textile business in Jaffna had tested positive for COVID-19 upon returning to Tamil Nadu in India. The trader had been engaging in business since February. However, he had returned to his country on a special ship sent by the Indian government as part of its mission to repatriate Indian nationals who are stranded in other countries.
It has been confirmed that a person from India who had visited some houses in the Inuville area has been infected by the virus. Accordingly, the Office of the Health Services Director had done the needful. The people don't have to be afraid about this. There are sufficient facilities to conduct tests. We have taken steps to curb the transmission of the virus.
The occupants of 2 houses in the Inuville area and 1 house in Elale, in which the businessman had stayed, have been subjected to self-quarantine.
57 COVID-19 patients have recovered today. Accordingly, the total number of recoveries stands at 1,057. 789 patients are currently receiving treatment in hospitals. The total number of COVID-19 patients reported from Sri Lanka is at 1,858. The World Health Organization said new COVID-19 cases have had their biggest daily increase ever as the pandemic worsens globally and urged countries to press on with the efforts to contain the virus. 7,238,484 COVID-19 cases have been reported globally, while 409,644 deaths have occurred.
The government today said that the holidays granted to schools will end on the 29th of May. Education Minister Dullas Alahapperuma said that the schools in the country will be reopened under 4 phases.
Under the first phase, schools will be reopened on the 29th of June for principals, teachers and non-academic staff. Under the second phase, schools will reopen for the students of grade 5, 11 and 13 on the 6th of July. The third phase will be implemented from the 20th of July for students of grade 12 and 10. The fourth phase will come into effect on the 27th of July for the students of grades 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 and 9. The date of reopening schools for students of grade 1 and 2 has not been decided as of yet.
The August vacation for schools will be granted in September this year.
The
Department of Examinations hopes to commence the advanced level examination on the 7th of September and conclude it on the 2nd of October. The grade 5 scholarship exam will be held on the 13th of September, which is a Sunday.
Meanwhile, the time duration of school sessions has also been revised.
Sessions from grade 3 and 4 will run from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. For grade 5, it would be from 7:30 a.m. to 12 noon. For grades 6, 7, 8 and 9, sessions will commence at 7:30 a.m. and end at 1:30 p.m. For grades 10, 11 and 12, it will be from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m.
The minister noted that the Health Ministry will issue the relevant directives on reopening preschools and daycare centres in due course.
As lockdown restrictions ease and life returns to a new normal, the tourism industry has launched several initiatives to expedite a speedy recovery.
COVID-19 has wreaked havoc in economies across the globe, including the tourism industry. International tourism is set to fall by 70% this year, marking the sector's biggest slump since records began in the 1950s. Here in Sri Lanka, the tourism industry has already witnessed a 45% decline in tourist arrivals during the first 4 months of 2020.
Currently, the situation is very bad, I must say, because we have zero tourists at the moment. I think we will have a more than a 80% drop this year. Most of our companies are finding it difficult to survive and to pay the salaries and so on. What we are asking the government is, okay, we know the government is also in a difficult situation for cash. So what we are asking is whether they can negotiate for us a credit line, maybe with a funding agency like the ADB or the World Bank.
In a bid to strengthen the industry's rebound strategy, the travel trade has united to create, quote, one industry, one voice, unquote.
One industry, one voice. What we have done is we have invited the other associations like ASMET, SLAPSIO, the Board of Airline Representatives, the Travel Agents Association of Sri Lanka, for us to all to get together as one voice and one industry. As another initiative also, we are launching the Slighto Youth. We are inviting all the youth of our members to join us so that will be also complemented with our work and in order to promote Sri Lanka going forward.
There are some common problems which we need to address in one voice. The One Voice initiative, I think, is a great thing. If we actually get our act together and have our operations as of the 1st of August, and then if we can publicize it to the world, I think people will start returning.
Speculation on the date of the parliamentary election is rife against a backdrop in which activities are returning to normalcy in the country. The National Election Commission has not yet decided on the date of the election. However, the preferential numbers of candidates were issued today.
The preferential numbers of candidates for 22 electoral districts had been published in a Gazette notification today. The chairman of the National Elections Commission today urged the public to refrain from making statements on the date of the poll until it's officially announced.
We wish to make a request to all media institutions. Do not publish the date of the election based on your assumptions. The election can be held on any date from the 4th to the 19th of August. We will have to hold the election within this time frame. As per the Supreme Court ruling, allow us to decide the date of the poll. Conducting the election is going to be difficult, unlike other years, even if it takes 60 or 70 days to prepare for the poll. We are discussing on whether an additional hour needs to be given for voters who cast their votes at polling booths which received between 900 to 1,200 votes or 1,800 to 2,200 votes. We are also considering whether we should allow all those in the queue at 4 p.m. to cast their ballot or increase the number of booths. The Commission will make a decision based on this after obtaining the opinion of the Deputy and Assistant Election Commissioners.
හෙට නියෝජ්‍ය සහ සහකාර මැතිවරණ කොමසාරිස්වරු වෙනවා. ඔවුන් සමග සාකච්ඡා කරලා ඔවුන්ගේ අදහස් අරගෙන අපිත් කමිෂන් සභාව තීන්දුව කරනවා මොකද කරන්න ඕන.
These were the views expressed by government factions regarding the delay in announcing the date of the election.
We have reopened schools as well, so let's wait and see. The election had already been fixed for the 20th of June. If a new date has not been announced by midnight of the 20th of June, based on the stance of senior lawyers, we are of the view that the President will be vested with constitutional powers to announce the date of the election and the date on which the new parliament can be convened. Therefore, let us wait and see what happens. There is time for that.
The Election Commission is showing a trend of delaying things. They are delaying the date of the election daily. Initially, the election was scheduled to be held on the 25th of April. However, it is very clear that although the poll had been delayed by 55 days, the Election Commission did not take steps to conduct the poll. It is this Election Commission which is saying that the poll would be delayed by 60 or 70 days. There is no justifiable explanation as to why they require 60 or 70 days at a time when COVID-19 has been brought under control, despite postponing the election by only 55 days at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Irrespective of any political differences, the people are of the view that the Commission is not independent anymore. A suspicion has arisen with regard to the independent commissions that were appointed after a constitutional amendment. Therefore, we believe that after we obtain a 2/3 majority, we will amend the constitution and move towards a system that would allow people to enjoy true democracy. We should establish a body that will not delay the election.
Former Minister MANGALA Samarawira has said that he has decided to refrain from contesting the parliamentary election.
I hereby announce that I refrain from contesting the 2020 general election. Although I cannot remove my name from the nomination list, I can request the general public not to vote for my preferential number at the election. I have to clearly state that I did not take this decision to resign from politics. Although I resign from parliamentary politics, I expect to engage in a much faster political process with the people of this country.
Mangala Samarawira, who is a graduate in clothing design and technology from St. Martin's School of Arts in London, had entered active politics in 1983 after being appointed as the chief organizer of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. He first entered parliament from the Mathura district in 1989 and was appointed as a Minister of Post and Telecommunication in the cabinet of Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga in 1994. Samarawira, who served as a minister under the administration of Mahinda Rajapaksa from 2005 to 2007, had joined the United National Party in 2010. On the 12th of January 2015, he was appointed as a Minister of Foreign Affairs under the Good Governance government and was subsequently appointed as a Minister of Finance. Former State Minister Buddhika Patrina has been appointed as the Mathura district group leader of the Samagi Janapala Vegaya.
I asked everyone in the United National Party and the Samagi Janapala Vegaya in the Mathura district to start a new era. I am hoping to lead the Samagi Janapala Vegaya in this district. Help us in making sure the supporters are treated well and not left out.
A suspect who had robbed money from the Colombo National Hospital was arrested by the police today.
A doctor attached to the state hospital had broken into the National Hospital and carried out the theft. Deputy Director of the Colombo National Hospital, Lionel Muhandiram, said that the doctor had stolen at least 7.9 million rupees in case after brandishing a fake pistol to an employee at the finance division. The stolen cash was supposed to be paid as salaries and additional allowances for hospital staff. The police spokesperson said that the suspect had been apprehended by a female police officer when the suspect was fleeing the hospital.
An individual has stolen more than 7.9 million rupees after brandishing a fake pistol. 2 constables attached to the State Intelligence Service had given chase to the suspect. Chief Inspector Varuni Bogahavatta, who was attached to the Mathura Police Child and Women Bureau, had been at the hospital. She had also given chase to the suspect and assisted the officers to arrest him.
The Supreme Court decided to dismiss the petition seeking a writ order for the National Election Commission to reject the nomination papers submitted by the Samagi Janapala Vegaya.
The petition was filed by a candidate of the United National Party contesting from the Colombo district. Appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, Senior Deputy Solicitor General Nerin Pulle, presenting preliminary objections, submitted that the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction to intervene in the matter as per the provisions of the Parliamentary Elections Act. He submitted that it is the Court of Appeal that has jurisdiction to intervene in the matter. Justices Buwanekalu Vihare, LTB Dehideniya and Preeti Padmansura Sena accepted the preliminary objections raised and dismissed the petition.
හැමදාම රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා කරේ බලලු ලබා කොස්තර බෑවීම අදත් පොඩි පූසෙක් කියලා තිබ්බ උසාවියට ඒතුව හැමතිස්සෙම රනිල්.
All that he did was not participate in the race but obstruct all the participants. They will not be able to do it this time.
We are disappointed in the manner in which the members were inconvenienced. Those in the United National Party will learn a lesson from the people this time.
මේ රටේ ජනතාවගෙන් පාඩම ඉගෙන ගන්න මේ පාර තමයි එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය.
Leader of the Samagi Janapala Vegaya, Sajith Premadasa, expressed the following views during a media briefing today. It is clear that this conspiracy was staged by deal politics. While commending the historic verdict given by the Supreme Court, I would like to clearly state that the only solution to this issue faced by the country is the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. We will face the People's Court. I'd like to state that we will obtain a democratic victory this time. Our party is direct and we do not bow down to external imperialists. We will put an end to deal politics that have reached agreements that are detrimental to the country. Our deal is with the people of this country. The truth emerged victorious yesterday as well. The truth will continue to emerge victorious. We ask the provincial councillors to place their trust in us. Do not fear anything. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya stems from the working committee of the United National Party. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya is a massive public force where everyone can join in. I would like to conclude my speech by quoting Lord Buddha.
ලෝතුරා බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේගේ උතුම් දේශනාවක් තුළ මගේ අදහස් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම මම අවසන් කරනවා. නජච්ඡා වසලෝ හෝති නජච්ඡා හෝති බ්‍රාහ්මනෝ. කම්මනා වසලෝ හෝති කම්මනා හෝති බ්‍රාහ්මනෝ. යම් පුද්ගලෙක් වසලෙක් බ්‍රාහ්මණෙක් කියලා තීන්දුව වෙන්නේ.
A person is determined to be an immoral person or a virtuous person through his or her actions. The people now have the opportunity to decide who are immoral and who are virtuous based on their actions.
වසල ක්‍රියාවන් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ කවුද බ්‍රාහ්මණින් හැටියට හැසිරෙන්නේ කියන ඒ නිගමනය ජනතාව සතු නිගමනය.
The governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.D. Lakshman, says the central bank will use all available tools at its disposal to maintain financial system stability.
In a statement, the governor of the CBSL notes it remains committed to keeping the deposits of the general public safe from the economic and financial fallout of COVID-19 and similar future unforeseen events. It also must be noted that the central bank will not hesitate to take legal action against individuals and groups spreading false or misleading information with the intentions of creating unjustified disruptions in the bank and non-bank financial sectors. Former State Minister of Finance Eran Wickramaratne spoke about the matter today.
We've had some finance companies collapse in the past, and also we have some companies which receive licenses during the period of Mahinda Rajapaksa as finance minister, which have also proven to be reckless in terms of the issuance of finance company licenses, because some of them, which I won't go to name, right, have basically been in trouble. So this situation must not arise again. The way to protect the financial system is to make sure that there is complete independence of the central bank. As I have stated previously, 2 members of the monetary board were pressurized to move out, and that was unfortunate. That should not be the case, because the central bank should be independent. The whole financial system works on trust, and trust must be restored. It's trust building that is necessary to strengthen the depositors' confidence in the central bank and in the financial system.
Still in local news, farmers from several locations in the island attempted to purchase fertilizer today. Farmers claim the quantities of fertilizer which are to be received by them have been reduced.
A large gathering of farmers was witnessed opposite the state fertilizer storage facility in Dambula this morning. Although many hours passed, fertilizer was not issued. Farmers bemoan the quantities of fertilizer issued at present is severely insufficient. A demonstration was held at the Gullah and Bindunuwava town today, claiming the quantities of fertilizer issued has been reduced. The protest was organized by the All Ceylon Farmers Federation.
They have cut down on the quantities of fertilizer being issued. First, they promised to issue fertilizer for free. Now they have reduced the quantities, claiming our soil is well nourished. If someone is speaking against the claim that the soil in the country is nourished, they can be viewed as people who are destroying the soil and water of the country. The Fertilizer Secretariat is bound to issue fertilizer according to the recommendations provided by the Ministry of Agriculture and other related institutions. The issue has arisen since there is no possibility to test the quality of soil at every farm and issue fertilizer. We intend to initiate a program where fertilizer is issued based on the composition of a respective land.
Meanwhile, officials of the Consumer Affairs Authority conducted a raid today upon the instruction of the Secretary to the Nuwara district. The officials managed to identify a store in the Nuwara town which was issuing fertilizer at a higher price. During the raid, which was conducted with the use of a spy, it was revealed the respective store was selling a bag of fertilizer for 1,400 rupees, which should ideally be sold for 1,150 rupees. The owner of the store was advised severely.
Protests continue in the United States of America after the death of George Floyd, an unarmed man killed in police custody. The nationwide spread of protests against police brutality have led to calls to defund or outright abolish police departments.
Protests grew in the United States over the weekend across many cities, including Los Angeles. In Seattle, protests turned violent after police fired a projectile directly at a protester. The officer who is charged with second-degree murder, Derek Chauvin, made his first court appearance in Minneapolis by video link yesterday. A judge ordered his bail raised from $1 million to $1.25 million. He faces 3 separate charges: unintentional second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter, for which the maximum penalties are prison terms of 40, 25, and 10 years respectively. Chauvin's co-defendants, 3 fellow officers accused of aiding and abetting Floyd's murder, were previously ordered held on $750,000 to $1 million bond each.
Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up!
Protesters in Iowa chanted "Don't shoot" as they walked across the local highway, bringing traffic to a halt.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Thousands marched along a highway in Portland, demanding for justice over the killing of George Floyd. Clashes with police continue to take place across many parts of the United States.
For those who wish to, we will now kneel for our moment of silence.
U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Democratic members of Congress kneeled for 8 minutes and 46 seconds on the marble floor of Emancipation Hall in the U.S. Capitol, the duration that Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneeled on the neck of George Floyd as he died. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump dismissed calls for the law enforcement to be defunded in the aftermath of nationwide protests.
This has been a very strong year for
less crime, let's put it that way, less crime. And there's a reason for less crime. That's because we have great law enforcement. I'm very proud of them. There won't be defunding. There won't be dismantling of our police. And there's not going to be any disbanding of our police. 99, I say 99.9, but let's go with 99% of them are great, great people, and they've done jobs that are record-setting. So our crime statistics are at a level that they haven't been at.
As hundreds of mourners streamed into a Texas church to honor George Floyd, who died in police custody 2 weeks ago, his two brothers recalled a gentle giant who grew up in a house full of love.
I want to thank everybody who came out to see my brother and cheer him on to victory for his last lap. Just being here, thinking about my brother, he's a gentle giant. And he had his life taken away when he shouldn't have been. He should have been here speaking on somebody else's behalf right now. We grew up together, eating banana mayonnaise sandwiches. No, seriously, just having fun in a house full of love. It just hurt. Breonna Taylor, everybody. Thank y'all. We will get justice. We will get it. We will not let this door close.
And I tell you what, if he was told he would have to sacrifice his life to bring the world together, and I knowing he would have did it. Wow. And I mean, I love this love, and we all hurting as a family.
Democratic U.S. presidential candidate Joe Biden met privately with Floyd's relatives in Houston to offer his sympathies yesterday. A funeral will be held for Floyd in Houston, where he grew up. He will be buried next to his mother. Taking a look at more local news, a meeting was held between Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and a group of artists this morning.
The meeting, which was held at the Prime Minister's official residence in Vijayarama, discussed the issues faced by artists during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Prime Minister's media division, issues faced by cameramen, musicians, cinema actors, stage drama actors and other artists were discussed at the meeting. Prime Minister has focused his attention on the economic drawbacks of the artists during these turbulent times as well. I believe that if anyone fights alone, no one can win their rights. They must get used to joining the associations and unions. When I was the Minister of Labour, what I told often was, do not come alone. Organize yourselves as a union and approach me. I would like to request the same from the artists. Form an association and then approach me. It is easy for you to do this, but it is troublesome for us.
A group of dairy farmers have requested the government to investigate the losses faced by farmers and the government due to the previous failed imports of dairy heifers before importing 2,500 dairy heifers once again. They made this request during a media briefing in Colombo today.
A group of dairy farmers met with former parliamentarian Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera to explain their current plight. 67 businessmen invested in importing 5,000 dairy heifers in 2017. However, 38% of the cattle have died. More than 40% of the calves that had been given birth by these dairy heifers had also died. We paid millions to the government to import these cows. The businessmen who had paid large sums for the project are now in debt to the banks. Some are on the verge of committing suicide. Foresight Engineering
engineering කියලා foresight engineering ආයතනය engineering ආයතනයේ එක සමාගමක් විදිහට තමයි ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ. ගනුදෙනුවේ
They have an agreement with 22 clauses over the transaction. 16 of them have been violated. This is a corrupt deal.
මේ දූෂිත ගනුදෙනුව
Who should be responsible for the dairy heifers that were imported in 2017? For several years, Dr. Sagarika Sumanasekara has been the director of this. She must be subject to an investigation. If 40% of the imported dairy heifers have died, why did the government decide to import 2,500 dairy heifers again from the same company? An efficient investigation must be carried out into the company from which the cattle had been imported and the damage that had been caused to the country as a result. We promise that a case will be filed against the government on the charges of violating agreements at the Colombo Commercial High Court, seeking compensation for the farmers who had imported the dairy heifers.
We want a clean parliament. We want a clean government. Think before you vote.
The usage of technology in an appropriate manner can be achieved not only in developed countries but in our country as well. Tonight we filed this report based on a farmer who has successfully cultivated crops by incorporating technology into farming in a similar manner to that of other countries.
W.T. Gunawardana is a technician by profession who is a resident of HASALAKA. He had begun cultivating vegetables using his technical expertise to good effect. Vegetables had been cultivated across the land area spanning 5,000 square feet. Crops which grow above and below the soil have been cultivated on this small plot of land. Jayawardena has used the technology to feed the plants with water and fertilizer instead of using manual labor.
I have fixed sensors in bags on which plants are cultivated. The sensors send a signal to this machine seeking water. The machine then switches on the motor and supplies water. We have also fed a sufficient amount of fertilizer into this. We are also controlling the temperature here.
The cultivation of plants that have been carried out using technical knowledge instead of manual labor has proven to be successful.
I thought of using the spider theory in this. I used technology for this. I managed to create a farm that is capable of self-functioning. This farm can sustain itself even if I am not at home for a month. The only expenses I incur are for seeds and fertilizer. I don't have to spend on maintenance or chemicals. We can earn large profits through this. This is a good job that can provide us money and satisfaction.
Organic fertilizer have been used instead of chemical fertilizers for the cultivation of these plants. Jayawardena San has provided him with the required assistance for his cultivation.
I wish to tell the youth that this is a type of smart farming. This shows that a person can earn an income by using his intelligence instead of working hard physically.
And that's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Azra San, with our sign language interpreter, Bayandi Cruz, and our producer, Tarasha Kumar Singh. We leave you tonight with the Maharagama Highland School's rendition of the Nagitimu Sri Lanka song. Take care and good night.
Sangka badaka atarin nagitimu Sri Lanka Hitamu idiriya naika wanwa hema nagitimu Sri Lanka Heta idiwana navalokaya hamuwe nagitimu Sri Lanka Nagitimu Sri Lanka Api nagitimu Sri Lanka Kisida novenas minisat gunu piripun rata Sri Lanka Meran bhumiya urumaya apage rakalamu Sri Lanka Idiriya gena ekli apasituwa rakagannata Lanka Duruveiriya sanapa idiriya atli badaka jaya ganwa Sri Lanka, Api Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Time for us to hope and pray and heal our motherland. We must unite and march ahead, arise Sri Lanka's now. Sri Lanka, rise up Sri Lanka. Wala pata atarin hina kitimu Sri Lanka Hiya saka sangka badaka atarin kitimu Sri Lanka Hitamu idiriya mai kawan mahema kitimu Sri Lanka Heta idiwana navalokaya hamuwe kitimu Sri Lanka Sri Lanka, rise up Sri Lanka, Nagitimu Sri Lanka, Api Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Gammadda, Nagitimu Sri Lanka.